for coming along and thank you for tuning in to Rise of Resistance Festival. Tonight's event is Nosocomial Collaborations. Rise of the Resistance is itself a collaboration between Precision AMR at UCL and Nosocomial, which is a company made up of healthcare scientists, artists and actors who tell the stories of healthcare science. Tonight we're going to have two pieces. The first is a staged reading of the first play we ever did called Nosocomial, which is based on the verbatim stories of healthcare scientists, and then that will be followed by a screening of Klebsiella. Thank you.
In the lab.
Any word?
Nothing so far. Max went with her, I haven't heard since.
What time is it now?
8:39. Well, have we any idea what we're dealing with?
We can't assume anything. When Joe's samples come up, let's test for everything and see how it goes.
The basement. Close the door! We should be okay in here for a while, so long as it doesn't get in.
What doesn't get in? What's happening? You're scaring me now, Joe.
Where do you think we are?
We're in the hospital.
Don't go out there!
I need to get back to the
It's
lab.
not safe!
You think it's some sort of attack?
Attack! Yes, it's some sort of attack. The shape of this room, it's all wrong.
The others need to know. They can help.
We need to establish contact with them from here to piece this together. At 8 o'clock at night in the lab, I was standing at my workbench and I must have been really tired because my mind started wandering. You know, what does it even mean? Testing. To try by doing, to do to compare results. I mean, there has to be a result, right? An outcome? Even if no change, even if nothing, doing X to Z under controlled, specific. I don't know how I got started on this.
You telling me what happened?
Nights when I can't sleep. You know how your sleep patterns get disrupted when you're doing nights? Half asleep, words swirling and pictures, things that you've seen, anomalous results, the ones that got away. None of this looks right. My head.
You knocked your head when you fell.
No, the headache was from before, hours before, at the bench. It's my eyes. I know I've been squinting through the microscope, but when I look up, the wall, there, towards the shower, it's not just blurry, it's not there.
When I say what I do, people ask, do you work with animals? When I tell them I work in a hospital, they say, are you a nurse? Or, aren't you a bit old to be a nurse? I say, no, actually, I'm just the right age to be leading a lab team. I say healthcare scientists are 5% of the NHS and we're responsible for 80% of diagnosis. Eyes glaze over. Perhaps we get overlooked because a lot of us are women and we don't play politics. Who needs politics when you've got science and bad jokes and cake, lots of cake? Management reckon we don't know how to communicate. Stuck in the lab all day and night, lose the power of speech. They wanted our entire healthcare science team and biomedical science and infection prevention to engage with a questionnaire about soft skills. I said, yes, all right, lovely, because it's not like we've got more important things to do. Inside, I'm thinking, none of them will fill it in. That will look bad upstairs. I sent out an evidence-based report on soft skills with the survey to convince them to fill it in. I got 6 replies. 6, yay! None of them had completed the survey. All 6 critiqued the methodology of the paper. Of course, some of us are patient-facing, like Jo. Jo shouldn't have been in yesterday. She tripped and fell the other day. exhausted from overwork. But suspected case of measles in a 6-year-old leukemia patient, secondary infection, and possibly from a family visit. When children are immunosuppressed, measles would be lethal for the entire ward. One day, even an hour, conditions inside the body change so fast, minutes either way. We eliminated measles in our original sample, ran the bloods for our other children. No sign of infection. When you're training, they say, if you hear hooves, don't immediately think of zebras, right? Horse or zebra? They're getting close.
The basement. I had a test tube in each hand, and the lights went out, and I did the dance. You know, the dance that makes the lights come on.
You're on a timer at night.
And I wiggled and I waved my arms, and it stayed dark. And I jumped, and I paced around the lab, and no lights came on. No equipment. Completely dark. Not the autoclave, not the humidifier, not the clock.
Do you think it was a power cut?
Why didn't the generator kick in? That's what I'm telling you. Something happened in that moment, and you didn't notice anything because you weren't there. It was inside. I was exposed.
The lab.
Okay, it's been a while since I've done this, but under circumstances, all hands are on deck.
Based on our differential diagnosis, we're assuming measles, right?
With likely exposure and initial conjunctivitis?
That would be my starting point, yes.
I've put the samples on the plates.
So that's our priority. But can I remind everyone, especially under circumstances like this, follow the drill. Don't rush. I know none of you...
Oh my God, Jesus
What is
Christ! What kind of monster has been at my bench?
Someone take one out of sequence again.
Oh, middle of the third row! What's wrong with people?
You alright?
Yeah, I'm just...
I know.
And once I've read the samples...
Put your results on Joe's desk, same as always.
The basement.
If we can't get to the lab, we need to bring our lab down here. All this is our storage of overseas kit, so who knows what we're going to find? Now help me.
I'm trying to help you. What can I do?
So if we approach being stuck down here exactly like a long experiment, remember that one that we did over 20 hours?
You think we'll be here 20
The
hours?
same amount of preparation, how we set up, if we're handling 900 samples and inverting any two results is a disaster. So we prepare minutely in advance so that if we become tired, process can kick in. And if we make a mistake during a long experiment or even think that we've made one, the whole process is void, right?
Right, so tell me what's happening. Tell me what the experiment is.
No. We can't trust ourselves. Max, I'm still your boss.
I've been here 6 months and I love coming to work every day. With everything that's been going on in the world this year, I feel like I'm making a difference. When I started in the Francis Kelsey lab, Mum got herself on Zoom and insisted on fixing a call for my grandma's birthday to tell her about my new job. To be honest, my mum has never understood what it is I do. She's embarrassed to keep asking, so I think she was hoping Nan will understand it even less, so they can both get a bit more clarity on my employment situation. And on the appointed day, Nan just happened to have invited all her friends, her over 60 Strictly class, her neighbour, the Polish engineer from over the road who she'd never spoken to before, along with my cousin's family, my 4 nieces, for her birthday. I had no idea until the call comes through and all these people look like some strange community choir squashed into my grandma's living room. Max! My mum doesn't get, you don't have to shout. Tell your Nan what exactly is this new job? I looked at Nan and her friends and the families and cousins and nieces. If I can't even explain what I do to my mum, how can I tell so many different ages all at once? And I say, well, Nan, I am a researcher in humans. Grandma bursts out clapping and they all join in. Later that night, Grandma rings me up. She says she doesn't understand my job. She says she started clapping because she can see my work makes me happy. I tell her, It's two emotions. In the morning, I'm so fired up about science that I often put my clothes on inside out because I can't wait to get to my bench and begin the day's work. But at night, when I'm leaving the hospital, I go past all these patients in their wards and I think about all the people who for different reasons don't get to go home. And I tell my grandma that my job makes me proud and humble in equal parts. Science excites you in the morning, and at night, you think about the patients you're leaving. And that reminds you, we're all human, and none of us immune. It's not routine what we do. We're not machines. None of us machines.
In the basement.
Wait! What's that? Sounds like voices.
I can't hear anything. What is it? What do you hear?
It's distant voices. It could be from the lab.
I really don't hear anything.
Go over there and listen right by the wall. Hello? Paul? Paul? Is that you? If you can hear me, listen carefully. It's not what you think. It's not the samples. It's everywhere. Paul! Everywhere!
You don't think the infection is measles?
We were testing for measles, weren't we?
Yes, for the children.
You have to face the possibility that the infection is not in the samples, but out here, in the whole building, infiltrating the communications, leading to the complete shutdown of power, the ventilation system in the lab.
If there was a positive pressure in the ventilation system after a power cut,
It's no longer ensuring clear air inside. It's pumping airborne bacteria, airborne viruses out. I mean, not just measles, but our cats 2s and 3s and fully drug-resistant TB. You all need to get out. This is an emergency now. Get out. This is not a drill.
In the lab.
If it's an infection,
Joe would make a call about the antibiotic and go down to the ward to tell them to take the patient's line out or whatever immediately.
but this is more complicated.
Well, this is not measles.
You're sure?
Well, aren't you?
So what's our standard operating procedure now?
we don't have an SOP for this.
No, we have several. Given that it's not measles, wherever we decide to go next will determine our SOP. Well, we need someone to make that decision.
There must be some kind of protocol.
Oh, this is the protocol. The conversation we're having now is the protocol.
Well, it was useful to eliminate measles.
Oh, it would have been more useful to have confirmed measles.
I mean, we can just test for something else.
TB, Neisseria, strep pneumo, brucella, we can test for anything.
What would Joe do?
Joe would revise our differential diagnosis based on what we know.
Factor in how long each test will take to schedule them in order of priority, which to start when, if we're aiming to run tests for a number of options simultaneously. Those decisions Joe makes on how likely any scenario is, well, they're based on instinct and experience.
Well, don't look at me. With my experience, these last couple of years, I'd be more likely to start with the cheapest first. And I'm not saying that. Look, honestly, I don't know. This is Joe's job, navigating grey areas.
She often goes out for a walk. Around the lab, up the ward, outside. I've seen her jogging laps around the hospital.
If it's not measles, your first port of call.
Everything that we've put in so far for control is based on measles. Conjunctivitis, or the inflammation of the eye can be a starting symptom of many conditions, including measles. It can simply, of course, just be conjunctivitis.
With an escape of airborne bacteria, we have a smoke test you can spray in the air to see evidence of virus.
If it's not measles but airborne, it's more likely that it's contracted from a person. We're looking at the ward.
You can get a needle stick injury, taking a sample from a patient.
Virus causing conjunctivitis, particularly if rubbed, can migrate to the back of the eye, resulting in penetration of the virus into the brain, leading to brain inflammation.
Ocular shingles is a zoster complication in the eyes. Not measles, eyes!
Viral encephalitis, brain inflammation, sudden onset and severe, leading to delusion within hours. So severe, patients can be diagnosed with a psychotic breakdown.
Where are you going?
I'm going to take the results, say it's not measles and that we're testing.
You're going down to the ward?
I could do with a walk.
In the basement.
I think Kitty and Paul got the message.
They're doing all they can.
It's not working. Nothing's happening.
You just need to be patient.
I don't know how the patients are expected to sleep here with the infection everywhere and commotion up there and people shouting in the hall. Max, I really think the problem might be me.
Yes, it might.
If I can hear these things and I feel these things, then we need to consider the possibility that these things are not happening, except in here.
Kitty and Paul are working on it right now.
An alarm starts.
It's a fire alarm.
No!
We'll hear them moving in a minute. Have you heard the fire drill? Evacuation of all non-clinical areas. Every clinical floor knows how many minutes you have to escape. You move patients sequentially to the next ward. Horizontal evacuation. When the police put out a security cordon around the hospital, no one can get in. When 7/7 happened, we kept working for 72 hours until we could be relieved. I remember the sirens and alarms going off non-stop.
I don't hear anything.
Why is this happening to me?
We're going to find out.
Have you ever done trepanation?
Drilling a hole in your head?
It's
No,
the only
you
way
can't.
to get a sample of my brain tissue.
Absolutely
You
not.
have to help me, or I will
No.
do it myself. I mean, there must be something here. Some sort of sharp or spike or malaria kits. Yeah, let's do those two. Let's eliminate malaria from the equation. You know, we took a load of these along with the Ebola kits to Sierra Leone.
Please don't do this. It's not a sterile environment.
They're designed for war zones. I think they'll be okay in a London hospital. You just get the strip, grip the needle, and there's one black line or one or two black lines. Oh, got all this blood. I feel much lighter now.
Joe! 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 Please wake up!
Hello, Joe. It's Paul. I brought your results to the ward. You know you're on a ward, don't you? Max found you on the floor. You knew you were in a basement. To be honest, I struggle if I have to talk to a doctor or a nurse on the ward. I wasn't sure I would be able to talk to you. Probably wouldn't if you were awake. Tell her all your secrets, Kitty said. Oh, you know what she's like. I am a lab coat wearing, non-patient facing scientist. I like the equipment and the machines. I like the lab routine. I like not meeting patients. I'm satisfied if I could achieve 5 in 1 million detection rate. Oh, there's a homeless man who sleeps behind the lockers that I see when I come in early. He's asleep when I arrive, but gone by 8 AM and never sees me. Oh, you know, if you're doing Cat 3 work and become exposed, you've got to strip for decontamination. I worked out once what level of risk would persuade me to get naked in front of all my colleagues and walk through the lab to the decontamination shower, passing the glass wall to the atrium. 97% certain death. Oh, I worked in the Ebola outbreak in Sierra Leone and tested positive when I came back. I never had Ebola as far as I know, but after I got home, my blood showed antibodies. I went out with a clinical engineer who, when she had to cancel our date on account of having to keep a liver alive for an extended period before transplant, I went to watch. 6 engineers built a medical system to keep it alive. I often think about that liver, functioning in isolation, and one night. And every time I get a positive result, I have a moment when I think, I am the only person on Earth who knows this woman's infection is resistant to antibiotics. I'm the first person in the world who knows that this man's condition will be fatal. And I know it's unscientific and I struggle in this way, but you understand. The physical horror when I see a genetic family tree and the sequence of black dots showing their history and their child's future, and then you, Joe, you have to go and tell. I've seen you shaking after confrontations with relatives. I've seen you bruised when you've been hit, taking laps around the hospital before you come back to the lab. You know when to step back and when to hug. Human beings, afraid and in pain. I've seen you and I've thought, I could never do that. Go up close. But here I am, Joe. Here we all are.
We need to talk honestly about what this might be.
Paul thinks it might be a brain abscess.
And what do you think?
Brain abscess absolutely fits. Maybe due to progression from the initial conjunctivitis. Maybe she got a hairline fracture when she fell and hit her head. Auditory and visual hallucinations. Her brain is burning up.
We won't have results until tomorrow. Joe is the only one of us qualified to make that diagnosis tonight.
But if it is, and resistant, we should change the treatment now.
And of course, it could be something else entirely. Joe's had a breakdown.
No, I don't believe that. She was confused. She wasn't upset.
It's not about being upset. It's about her mental health, compromised by stress and 7-day weeks for months on end. Joe's lost the ability to make a risk assessment about herself, to take proper breaks to sleep or eat, accumulated hours of exposure, and is now having a psychotic episode. It's what I'm warning management could happen to somebody in this team.
All right, but not to Joe. She's resilient.
She's not now, Max. She's on the ward in a catatonic state. Psychosis would do that. You could start antimicrobials tonight, but if she's having a breakdown, that won't help.
If they start treating her for psychotic breakdown, won't that be worse?
Run the gram stain on her sample and we'll see for ourselves.
I'm lying in blackness. Sounds that I don't recognise or control. Bottom of a hole. A black stain in my head. Growing. Flooding. Weight of water pressing down. I heard my name. I am. Their hug of joy. Their anger and helplessness. And their dreadful pain and silence. I don't always remember friends' birthdays, but I don't forget the dates when you keep them in here. You know conjunctivitis can be a symptom of severe infection. You know on balance of probability, it's just conjunctivitis. You rationalise. You're fine. God. Stop. Stop. Rest.
On the ward.
Joe, it's Kitty. We've got your test results.
You've got a brain abscess with a hairline fracture. That's what was causing your hallucinations.
It's gram-positive. We've started treatment.
You're going to come through this.
You're going to be fine.
8 o'clock. In the lab, standing at my workbench.
What does it even mean, testing? What do people mean by it?
To try by doing, to do. To compare results.
There has to be a result, right? An outcome. Even no change.
Even if nothing,
Doing X to Z.
under specific, controlled conditions. I don't remember how I got started on this.
You're telling us what happened.
Nights when I can't sleep. Things you've seen, the ones you've lost. We're not just loading samples. We're not machines.
Shall we move these chairs out of the way?
Don't you look at me like that. I've had enough of being put under a microscope. Can't you hurry up? I'm starving.
I see from your records that I'm the 11th psychotherapist you've consulted. Why so many, Klebsiella?
Thirst analyst fell for me so hard it made him ill. We had it off in his bathroom downstairs, all dead posh his place were. Not like this damp. He got admitted to St Thomas's with love sickness. Same old story, innit? Fever, chills, nearly coughed his heart up. I have that effect. So the same thing happened to the other 10. I've never had much luck with blokes. Oh, I do women too. And dogs, cats, cows, anything that moves. I ain't picky. suppose they could never work me out. What can I say? I'm a maverick. Mostly harmless, but I will do you one if you rub me up the wrong way. Can't help it that I'm a shapeshifter, babe. I don't like being stuck in one place too long, you know. It makes me feel a bit... queer.
Right. And what made you choose me?
Well, your website said you're a psychodynamic psychotherapist, whatever that means. And I'm a psycho, not to mention pretty dynamic too. So let's get on with this, babe. I've got things to do, people to see. What can I say? I'm a very busy girl.
I see you've sought addiction therapy to not much success.
Can't help it. Love the stuff.
Lager.
Yuri. And I love a bit of poo. I'm insatiable, babe. See, I eat so much you'd think I've got worms. Well, you know, we've all struggled with lockdown, right? Yeah. You see, us bacteria have had it the worst. I blame you lot with your masks. Here. Put 2 stone on, I have. Anyway, I know a surgeon down on East Wing who'll do me a gastric band. Dr. Eccles. Oh, do you know him? Oh, he's a lovely bloke. He don't wash his hands after wiping his bum.
Okay. So, let's start at the beginning.
Oh. Edwin Klebs. Yeah, he's to blame the 1908. The world soon knew who I was, yeah, stealer of DNA, Klebsiella, kleptomaniac. Oh, you don't have a label, didn't you? I suppose I've always loved being other people more than being myself. I mean, I could be MRSA one day. Back to Klebs the next. Huh? Here, World's End Estate, that is. See that tower block in the middle there? I lived up there, 4th floor. Bloody beautiful. River Thames this is. Here, put the camera on that. River Thames. See all that? Right back to me. Full of bacteria, that is. Dead dirty. Oh yeah. What you got in there? Trolleys? Plankton? Minke whales? Straight up. I bloody love it. Gram-negative, facultative, anaerobic, non-motile bacteria. Anaerobic? I ain't seen a gym for years, babe. Look, you can call me what you like. I'm the polyamorous polymath of bacteria, pure punk. I did 30 years with Klebsiella and the DNA. Yeah? I went double platinum with me LP renal failure. I've sold out hospitals from Bromley to Bali with me loose stools tour. And then it all went west. Morganella Morgani, pretentious cat. Betrayed me. Abandoned us. Left the band for the Bright Lights of Arts where she set up a residency at the operating theatre. It's a bloody good venue, that. Yeah, she's a sellout. Of course. She's making a killing now, isn't she? So we folded. I lost my tribe. And with it my soul. And I've been solo ever since. Got diagnosed PTSD, tremors, shakes, insufferable flashbacks. And then last week I suffered a nervous breakdown down the back of a sink. I overheard an healthcare scientist, still even are they? I overheard an healthcare scientist call me common. Me? Common? I just don't know who I am anymore.
Put yourself to a tissue.
Oh! Oh, Kleenex. I love a Kleenex. Thanks. Next question.
You've lived a very colourful life, Klebsiella. Your life began in Germany. Do you speak German?
Speak German? I'm a bacteria, babe.
Right.
No, I can't do everything. Jeepers!
Have you had any dreams of late? People who've been dreaming very vividly in lockdown.
Look, I haven't slept a wink in my life, let alone had a dream. Truth be told, I've dreamt for a long time now about settling down, you know. Finding the one. I can picture the scene very clearly. It's no longer a bog, or a sink, or a toilet brush. But we're living in a beautiful cottage far away from everyone else, you know. Oh, beautiful home, roaring fireplace, 4 dogs, 2 cats, 2 horses, big manure fertiliser out the back, organic like, you know. And time has stopped. We're just happy. We're in love. And he takes me by the hand and he begins to slow dance with me while a record plays in the corner, and we dance, and we dance, we dance. And I look up and he whispers to me. He says to me, Klebsiella pneumoniae. You are enough, no more DNA. And I look up and I can see a face. It's an antibiotic. But he's so handsome. And he whispers, this antibiotic, he whispers to me, be mine.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel like I what? Like I want to rip its bloody head off. Nobody owns Klebsiella pneumoniae. I'm an independent woman. Bacteria, woman, whatever. You can shove your analysis up your arse. It's all a load of pseudoscience anyway. Here, get that microscope on me. Klebsiella and the DNA are hiring, baby. I would like to meet other bacteria interested in rampant reproduction. No intellectual intercourse, ain't nobody got time for that. Anarchists, get to the front. All comrades must resist all antibiotics. Screw the system. Take what you want. Oh yeah, and while we're at it, monogamy is a social construct. Don't believe me? Just take a look at pelicans. Yeah. Hobbies must include mudlarking. We'll have a bit of mudlarking. Theft, petty theft, grand theft, whatever floats your boat. I'm looking for the Bonnie to my Clyde. Rise up. Anarchy now. Multiplication now. Pull down the penicillin. The time has come to take what you want, to reproduce with who you want, how you want, and when you want. Let's take that sweet DNA that's as good as Manuka honey. Yes, Manuka honey. Dead posh, expensive, hard to get, often found in a plastic box behind the till at Holland and Barrett in case somebody nicks it. We are many. They are few. Oh, yeah. And before I go, a word of warning. No, you shut your mouth, you. Listen up, healthcare scientists. You might call me common, but you can't ever vaccinate me. I'm elusive, adaptive. Who knows where I might be lurking next? Who I might be? Watch your back! You can cut that. Well, I don't know about you, but I thought that was a rather successful first session myself.